In this video, I interviewed my coaching student David on how he was able to sell over $200,000 in his first December as an Amazon seller, even as a full-time college kid. Obviously, these results are far from typical, so we want to break down the science of how to grow your Amazon business fast. And if you're interested in working directly with me to scale up for 2024, I'll leave a link down below for the application page for my coaching program if you're interested in working directly with me. Let's get right into the video.
What's going on, David? Thanks for joining me, man. You obviously have super atypical results for what people typically do in their first 6 months. So I want to hop on here, give some value to the people and talk about the science of growing the Amazon business fast, having fast success. Because you did like 200 or so in December, right?
Yeah, I did 243K in December.
So what's that? How much profit's that? Like 45-ish or so?
Around 42K.
42K, exactly, right? So not bad for, a college kid who was just getting started with the stuff and everything. But you want to walk through just kind of who you are, how you got into this stuff, your background with everything?
Sure. So I started selling shoes online when I was around 14 years old. And it was just like hype releases, selling them on StockX and Go. And I did that for a couple years. And through COVID, I got into like brick Nike reselling, which is pretty much like the same thing we do on Amazon, like Air Forces, Blazers, and stuff like that. Sold it on StockX for around like a 10% margin. So that's like a thing and not a lot of people do. It's like the same exact like business model as Amazon, but no returns. So I did that for a while and it got like too much for me, like too much stress and just too much for what a 16-year-old could handle at that time. So I stopped it. Like I had sports, school, friends, and all that stuff. And I just like put my money in other places like shoes and investments. So like I had stopped making money at that time. So then like eventually I saw someone on Instagram and they were doing 7 figures on Amazon. So hit him in the DMs and asked him how he did it. And he just told me that's the same thing we used to do on StockX and Go, but just on Amazon. So I went to the Nike outlets, scanned everything, went to the Adidas outlet, scanned everything, started watching Miles's videos, and eventually reached out to Miles, and then I joined his coaching program.
Sure. And then obviously, so when was that you were just getting started? It was like July, August, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think end of July.
Sure. Yeah. And it's interesting, man. Some people watching this, and even myself included, right, came from other parts of reselling. Like I was actually doing a lot of the brick stuff with sneakers as well, primarily at the outlets and then eventually like kind of OA as well. A lot of people do eBay and stuff. And the way I see it is kind of just like Amazon's like the graduated version of that because there's the way bigger kind of like it's a way bigger market, right? So there's a lot more upside and such too. So talk about the early days on Amazon. So you went to the outlet. Were you able to actually find anything profitable there, or was it a struggle to find some at the start?
It was pretty good. Like it was great just because I could scan everything at the outlets and I can go back home and review all my purchases. So I made some bad buys, made some good buys, but that's just like something you have to expect when you start. And like being able to accept that you're going to make mistakes, have bad buys, lose money is something that's all a part of the process. And if you're just starting out, something that you have to accept, and it'll get better with time, but that's just a great way to learn.
Yeah, and you can't avoid the learning curve too, right? If some of you guys are watching this right in January of 2024, you're excited about the new year, excited about getting started with the stuff. It's a 1-year minimum commitment to give yourself time to actually figure it out, right? Like as a human being, if you can't sit there and work on something every day, even if you're not seeing massive results, right? You're not going to see massive results because you have to be bad at something to eventually get good at it. Right. And then I like what you said about doing a lot of RA at the start, because like pretty much everyone then, has these local stores they can go to and you can feel the product in your hand. You can see it, right? You can scan everything with selling up and see it right there. And then retail arbitrage typically has higher profit margins than OA as well, which is pretty cool too. And, pretty advantageous. So let's break down. Okay. Just month by month revenue. You kind of want to walk through the growth that you've seen so far. So obviously December we know was like 200 plus rev. But what were the other months?
I think we did around 11K in August. We did 40K in September. We did 44 in October, this is all still RA,
Sure.
moving into school. And then we did 111 in November, and then we did 243 in December.
Sure. And the cool part about that is you're in college full time and you were primarily not FBMing too, which is contrary to popular, kind of advice in December and such. Can you walk through that whole system of like the driving home, the FBAing stuff? Because some people got excuses, man, and you were able to, smash through and, control some of these different barriers.
So like through my time, I like kind of divided Monday through Thursday as school, homework, and like sourcing and calls. So like communicating with people, networking with people, spending all my money, and then Thursday night, drive home, organize all my stuff that I received. Shout out to mom and dad for intaking all my packages, and sort prep, and then ship it out throughout the weekend. And that was just like a constant process from around the end of or middle of October to now as well. So still going home on the weekends, still prepping, still have to send out a lot of stuff, but it's just like a part of the process. And without like with me being in Oregon and like a sales tax free state, it's worth it in my books just to save the like $3,000 to $4,000 in prep.
Oh, to do the prep in-house, exactly right. Yeah, if you guys are watching this and you're in like Delaware, Oregon, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Montana, some of these states where some or most types of products or all types of products are sales tax free, you have a big advantage with this stuff too. So kind of a like interesting component of the equation, right? So obviously there's the skill of finding products and such too, but you also got to have capital to buy stuff. So can you talk about how you're managing cash flow and overall just getting access to capital to be able to buy a lot of products? Because some people might be confused about that.
I see. So I started with like a decent amount of capital at the beginning, just from shoes and what I saved up with. But I have a couple credit cards, the Plum, which I highly recommend, and also the Business Gold, which is great as well. But through American Express, I built up pretty good capital for the last like couple years or so. So they gave me like decent limits, but capital is definitely a constraint that I did have in December where I want to spend more, but they wouldn't let me. And like a huge component would be like try to build up your capital, like business capital and personal capital, like personal credit is different. Sorry. But it's really important to build that up just so they can trust you and lend you the money and let you spend the money. And in reality, that money will turn into profit for your business.
Exactly right. Assuming you're, doing what you should be and such. And yeah, I actually got the question. I think it was on Twitter earlier today. The question of 3 like favorite business credit cards, basically. And my answers are definitely for cash flow management. Right, the Amex Plum PLUM is really good. 0% APR. The Amex Business Blue is pretty cool too, as well. And then purely on a benefits basis, the Capital One Spark, the 2% cash back. When I think I just got like $2,000 in cash back from that just from buying like
Wow.
however much, 100K of product in the past 30 days or whatever on such, right? So obviously using leverage does add risk. However, it has been, something we've been able to utilize and such, that has been helpful in terms of overall, right? Obviously people need product to buy, right? So what are your recommendations in terms of sourcing for beginners, whether it be like locating coupons, finding stuff on sale? Like, let's talk about some of the hardcore strategy in terms of finding good OA products.
I think a huge thing is to just go in store first and scan everything RA so you can physically see what's good and what's selling. They don't always correlate, but a lot of the times they do. And also, I would highly recommend finding a good like ASIN, finding a good listing that's fast selling and has a lot of sellers on it, and going to find like the people with a lot of reviews because those are the people that tend to make a lot of money on Amazon. So go through them, storefront stock, and then just scroll through their catalog and just kind of be like familiar with what they sell, and then you'll kind of get like the reason why they sell it. So that's like important as well. Like, why do they sell it? And a lot of the reasons are that they're fast moving products that they could like buy thousands of per month and just constantly replenish.
Yeah, and what I like too about that, right, is so as a beginner, right, you primarily want to be doing reverse sourcing, otherwise known as storefront stocking, right? So the order of operation on that is, right, go to a reseller friendly product, right? It's like Nike, Adidas, Lego, Under Armour, anything you see like pretty much like 10 plus, 5 plus, 20 plus people selling, right? Then as David's recommending, right, you open up the sellers that have lots of reviews and then you see what they're selling, right? Because we're just reselling products. So there's lots of different people on these listings, right? So you can see immediately the brands they carry, the categories they carry, and you can scroll through and see all their top selling products at the top of their storefront. Then you need to Google those products, figure out what websites have those products, and then how to go ahead and actually discount those items to where they're profitable, which is going to come from coupon codes, finding stuff on sale, rewards accounts, discounted gift cards are good resources for that as well. What are some big mistakes you made? Because obviously, like I was saying, it is not typical whatsoever to have the success you've had, but what are some of the kind of roadblocks you've run into or, mistakes you've made?
Some of the mistakes I've made are like buying products that just don't sell. And that's because when I first started OA, I didn't understand the whole variations tab. Just because like an overall listing says it sells 2,000 times doesn't mean the specific variation is going to sell 2,000 times a month. And that's something I just didn't realize. Went deep on a product and it didn't sell. And that's just like something that you have to accept that mistakes are bound to happen. But if you don't make them again and you learn from it, that's all that really matters. And another mistake is I didn't exist on Twitter early enough. And I think I could have avoided a lot of those earlier mistakes by asking the Twitter community questions, DMing people, and then like just putting myself out there like I want to be helped. And that's something I would like really advise for like all the new people. like have a presence on Twitter because I'll help you. I know Miles will help you. Everyone else on Twitter will help you. We'll repost your stuff, like your stuff, comment. And that's just like a quick way to minimize risk and also learn and network and grow as a whole.
Yeah, that was by far the best thing I did from the get-go, right? Was just document from the ground up. I'm new to this. I'm trying to meet people, stuff like that. Cause like at the end of the day, right? The people that are at the highest level of the stuff are having tons of fun talking to each other all day on Discord and group chats, stuff like that and everything. So as a beginner, right, if you don't have a network with other Amazon sellers, you're at a massive disadvantage, one from a skill perspective, two, and just an access to information perspective, right? So the cool part is that's completely free, right? The community on Instagram's free, the community on Twitter's free, right? My free Discord, right? There's tons of places where cool Amazon sellers are hanging out, right? And you just got to find the people that you would hang out with in real life, right? And then just start building with them, and that's hard to do, as it should be. Otherwise, everyone would build a gigantic Amazon business and not have to work a ton to do it, and such, right? And everything. Okay, so you're obviously crushing it with online and retail arbitrage. Being in a sales tax-free state, you have the disproportionate advantage with arbitrage, right? Because of the sales tax advantage. With that doesn't exist as much in wholesale. What do you kind of see the business evolving like in 2024?
In 2024, I want to like really hone in on OA, get better at sourcing, get better at finding products, and eventually move out into wholesale. Less time, better margins, less returns, and it's like more sustainable because you're building a relationship with the person. And I think OA is still going to be a huge part of my business just because it's profitable. Don't see it really going anywhere. But really moving into wholesale will be big just to buy back my time a little bit and also hiring an admin VA. So just to spend less time doing like the stuff I don't like in the business and just doing what I really like, which is sourcing, repricing, and stuff like that, and just talking and networking with other people and just really focus on that in 2024.
Yeah, and for those of you guys who might not be familiar with what virtual assistants are, so basically they're essentially like remote employees in like the Philippines or India where the US dollar goes really far, where you can get really high quality people to help you do like any computer based work, whether it's like product research, admin work, running wholesale catalogs, finding OA products for like between like $3 and $8 per hour basis. So I have other videos that cover that and such, which is pretty cool too. And then if people want to, ask you any questions or, follow your journey further, which I would definitely recommend you guys doing, where can people find you across the internet and social media?
My Twitter should be right here at DKSFBA. And if
Just
you have
hit
any
1,200
questions,
followers, right? Just hit 1,200 followers, right? So
just
road to
did.
2,000, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And if you have any questions, my DMs are always open. I'll try to get to them as fast as possible. But just willing to help, and I think by me trying to help others, it helps me learn a lot as
Oh,
well. So
yeah, it's the most selfish thing you can do is put other people on. Yeah, it's crazy.
exactly.
Yep. Cool. Sweet. So appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you go follow David. What are you thinking? Call your shot next December revenue profit.
We're doing 400K in rev, and we're doing 120K in profit.
Okay, so that's really high margin too. Then okay, but
We're gonna try to find. I had some like really good ASINs this December that I'm just
yeah,
gonna
and
hone
you just
in.
go heavier on them, right? Find more
Yeah.
stuff from there. Yeah, and either way, like you can tell, like the 100K profit is very difficult. It's I've seen people do it and such. Cool. Appreciate you coming on, man, and see everyone in the next one.